Okay, but before we do, I really want you to know something, that we really need to enter into the ancient paths. We really do. It's very important to us to get to understanding of the Paleo Hebrew to the best of our ability of YaHuaH. Now, there's a reason why, because there's a great explosion of people, and I could presume, I could literally presume, I don't know, I'm not going to lay it as facts, I'm not going to accuse these people that died, brother, that they were speaking wrong names and words. But what I want to do is I want to equip you. For the first few minutes, I want to share something heart to heart with you and equip you thoroughly, because you need to be equipped thoroughly. Okay? Right. You definitely need to be equipped thoroughly. Because you see, if you're in a building and what's going on is all out attack against Yisrael here in the United States.
You know, I just wanted to say that, brother, is that this is different. This is not an attack against Americans or Christian Americans or Catholic Americans or Baptists or anything. This is an attack, and which I think that they don't want to say it, but it is an attack against Israel, against yes,
Yehudi people,
right?
You know, because they were worshiping and proclaiming and declaring, and he got so upset and left, and then came back with his spouse to take care of hurting these people, and he focused on killing the main ones he knew that were inspectors with him. He focused on that.
And whatever sect of Jewishness or Judaism you're from, you know, if a brother's attacked, then you're attacking us as a people, not just one person, but you're attacking the whole people.
Right. Now, they might not be like the house of Ephraim. They might not look like us, okay, with our complexion, hair, and look. But yet, these people were in progress. A lot of us have come out of the Messianic movement. We used to call on the name of Yahweh ourselves. We used to, and that's a big thing going on in the rabbinical community that are Messianic, rabbinical, Talmud oral. And they won't use Yahushua. They won't use YaHuaH. They use Yahweh. And I just want to let you know that YaHuaH channel and Eagles Haven Ministry, we use YaHuaH based because of our phonetic Paleo-Hebrew charts of the sounds of Yahuwah's name from ancient times. Because there's a link to this pig. There's the pig link from Roman Catholicism that goes all the way back to the Greeks, the Zeuses, and all the things. And my brother's going to share some parts about that history, because we've been in deep study, especially since yesterday, on it. And what I want to do is show you something here before we continue in this fellowship of understanding of Anuk. We know that for a fact, these things, what I'm going to show you. Now, I don't want it to shock you. I just wanted you to use these tools that I'm going to share on this live stream to share it with people in love. Because you got vain traditions, which I use them. I correct vain traditions. I correct the wording and what they mispronounced and misspelt and all the mistakes they had, and they won't make a new edition to correct it. And I personally talked to them and asked them to, and because they published it, the free book in 2010, and here we are going to 2016, and they made corrections of all their errors. But people really will follow it, and they're obeying the understanding of the deity Yahweh, and they use Greek scholars from the Orthodox Catholic Church. They call the early fathers. They're not my early fathers. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob are my ancestor fathers, and so. But they're using it. Now, when I'm going to show you, when I went to Israel, I was stunned to see what I'm about to show you. What I am show you is the image of Yahweh. Yes. I have a video called Pagan Idols in Plain Sight in the Jerusalem Museum. You see, I even met a Levi Kohanim man that grew up in Jerusalem that was a Levi, and he believed in YaHuaH, and he spoke the name of Yahushua as the Mashiach based on Zechariah chapter 6. Okay, he used the same phonetic sound we do, Yahushua. Yah's a savior by deliverance or deliverer. And he used that particular. And he was a high Kohanim Levi that grew up. He was a Sephardic like us that grew up in Jerusalem. You can go online. Do not block this, what I'm telling you. You can go online. Yahweh is Yamanism, a form of Baal of the Canaanite worship. And here's another image of the Yahweh idol in the Jerusalem Museum, with gold around it, it's like copper in the inner layer with gold pressed on top of it. These pictures, you can actually click my pictures and go to the link of the viewing pages with the word Yahweh and the Israeli Museum, and they have them in the British Museum. They have it in one museum over here too. So there's an occult of witchcraft that pray to Yahweh. There's an occult. You can research it. There's an occult that prays to Yahweh. And Israel backslid, and they took Yah, and they took the way, and they put it together, and they started for hundreds of years of worshiping this deity. It was not the YaHuaH of our forefathers and ancestors. I want you to understand that. Here is another photograph.
And brother, you know, that we're always learning. So, you know, we don't have all the answers. And we don't know everything about history or whatever, but whatever we do find out, we make it known to you. And so, you know, we've called, I was calling on the name of Yahweh before, not knowing that that's what it was. But, you know, so we're always learning. And today, you know, tomorrow or in a year from now, we're going to know way more than we know today.
Correct, yeah.
You know.
And so, you know, we're supposed to be moving forward, growing, disciples. We're supposed to be a constant learner, not, oh, I have arrived and we put it in a box and, and we know and you don't. No, that's not the way it is. We share and we learn, we grow, we share.
So now, we're sharing with humility.
Right,
with humility.
With humility. You notice it has, in the left hand, it's got a little wand, looks like a fly swatter, but electrical currents will go out, lightning bolts and fire and all that, and mystical things. Now, here is another picture of Yahweh, Jerusalem Museum. Artifact showing the lightning bolts, the hands. He was into fire, water, lightning, storms, you know, because the 5 mighty ones of Baal. Yahweh was married to Shekinah, which Shekinah is equivalent to the deity Gloria in the Greek, Gloria, or glory. That's why we don't use that word, because it's a pagan deity, glory. And we say esteem and honor and splendor, the correct Hebrew English with Latin letter translations, not transliterated to Greek goddess Glory. Now, Glory is related to the goddess, the ancient goddess of the Phoenicians, of Egypt, and go on and on and on with different names. And she was married as Shekinah to Yahweh. They were the male and female figure with the son figure, father, son, and mother figure. Now, here is a very clear image. Okay, this image was minted from this. Okay, this is how they found the mint, the machine that, or should I say, the clay or stone thing that you would mint and want to mint your coin. And if you notice from left to right, right to left, excuse me, there is a yod, a wah, and a he behind his head. Okay, yod, wah, he, Yahweh. Okay, so here's the other one here after they mint it and they create it, and it's more clear. And you can see the Yod YaHWeH in Paleo Hebrew. It wasn't the 4 letters of YaHuaH, it was the 3 letters, right? Where they would get the YaHuaH, all right? And not using the Yahu, or it was Yahweh, because of the way they made that Wa letter, because you got to remember, they do have vowels, and they did have nouns, you know, historically, depending on how they tilted the Paleo Hebrew. So here I'm showing you pictures from the Jerusalem Museum. I'm showing you stuff they dug out of the ground. And this particular Levi man that I met in Jerusalem when I was there going to school, to Upan, that he explained to me that when he hears the Yehudi, and even Kohan, and they sing, and they say, instead of aloha, they'll use Elohim or Elohim. Now they try to think Elohim is sacred, special, and they say Elohim. But he said among the Levi of their group, the Sephardic, that and that Sephardic school he was raised as a little boy up, okay, is right there with in Jerusalem, in the walls.
Okay.
It's in the walls. It's right there among all the different ancient synagogues that are there. And he says, we all know as YaHuaH, and we let even our Yehuda friends that are Ashkenazi or they're German saying Jehovah, that they let them go ahead and use those words because that's a way of still disguising the true name of YaHuaH. Okay, to hide it from their lips. Okay, so it's a control thing. And he admitted it, that he grew up with that understanding. And among them, they would only pray and say the word, or during the special seasons on the feast, when they go out there and they do the bima, and they would say the word YaHuaH. Okay? And if somebody's not really knowledgeable, in Russia, they would say Yaweh, or if they come from the Germanic Karaite, they would say YaHWeH, which are bad. Jehovah is another bad word. Okay, it's not a bad word, Jehovah, in a way when you're using it for spiritual warfare by saying YaHWeH, YaHuaH, Jehovah, YaHuaH, the mighty one that would answer our enemies by destruction, because Jehovah means destruction. Right. Okay, but when you're talking to YaHuaH, you're talking to him in his personal name. You can go online and you could click my image and do an image search and see where they are and look at the view pages of all this stuff I'm showing you. Now here is a Greek recent one that was found. Okay, and it was so damaged. What they did, they drew it because they drew it and put it in a museum, and you can see the double snake legs, almost like the Dagon deity, the fish deity of Starbuck, but it is a male. Wow. And it's Yahweh in Greek.
Wow.
It's Yahweh in Greek. So, you know, when you get this stuff and you say, oh, Father, you have to realize this in love. He is bringing you out.
Right.
He is bringing us all out. He loved me so much. When I went to Israel, he revealed these things to me. You know why he revealed them to me? Because I was a seeker. I wanted to know him. I would pray, Father, I want to know you. I want to know you. I want to know if I'm saying your name right. I want to know if I'm saying your son's name right. I want more of you. And his Ruach would lead me and direct me and quicken me to different things. Because I knew the difference from the counterfeit Christianity, charismatic spirit. And I knew the difference from the Ruach of YaHuaH's breath upon me, breathe upon me. And he would direct me and woo me because I'm seeking. And, you know, years ago I worked at a company, brother, where they made they made the little metal things that go on. They use a different chemistry, a little plastic with some red dye or green dye for the fire
alarms,
fire extinguisher system. They got a little adapter, and they used to use different type of lead in different degrees depending on the fire flame when they would go off the sprinkler system. So I worked at this company, and you have to go every 10 degrees and turn it up. And then you come back around from all the pots, and I'm in a suit because it's real hot in there. If it was 80 degrees outside, it's 110 in the room. Wow. So I'm going around with these big gloves and big everything, because if it splatters, you don't want it to burn on your body. And gargle mask and everything. And I would clean the drosh on top, turn to 10 degrees and make my rounds. And by the time I come back around in 30 minutes from dialing up 10 degrees in the pot, it was time to clean the drosh on the top. And the pots that were supposed to be at that certain degree, we would leave it at that, because that's the degree for the chemical or the chemistry of the heat of the fire for that sprinkler to go off in that particular building. Okay. And the instructor one time, he told me what happened. I wanted a longer break. So instead of making my round every 30 minutes, I turned it up 20 degrees. And all of a sudden, within an hour of the 2 cycles, everything started popping and exploding and going wild, dangerous. Oh, yeah. These little things were just exploding everywhere, because he's statement refining. He says, I have refined you as the finest gold. Well, how do you refine gold? Slowly. How do you refine silver? Slowly. You got to do it slow. And he's doing that with us. And when I learned this, I remember the story. I was just a boy working for $1.25 an hour at this plant. I was traveling in my motorcycle, and I needed some gas money in my Harley. You know what I mean? Yeah. I pulled over and got a job, right, for a few days, and slept with my sleeping bag till I got enough money to travel again. And so the Father revealed to me later, son, I allowed you to work at that place because this is how I refine you as the finest steel, as the finest gold. It's slow. If I turn up the heat too much, you would pop and explode. Right. And your elements would go wild. We would go brain fart. We would go crazy, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so he's allowed us to come from the J-man to, we used to say Yeshua, and then
right. Yeshua.
And then we realized that it's Yahushua. Yeah. We went from Yah to Yahu to Yahweh and Jehovah. Can't skip Jehovah. We were saying Jehovah for years and not even know and use /Lord Jehovah, you know. And we didn't realize the true proper meaning of that word. So that title name. And so he wants us to come out slow. Right. It's because he loves us. Right. He's not going to twist our arm or force us. Right.
He's not going to give you too much where you're overwhelmed. So.
And that's what happened. And we're going to get to the story of the Maccabees and Hanukkah. Right. They forced, and they did a slow process. Yeah. Hanukkah, right? Yeah. So, and we're going to get to the story now. I just wanted to let you clarify that. The reason I wanted to share that, okay? The reason I want to share that, okay, is this. We are training ourselves. We are spiritually armed and dangerous before we're physically. You got that, people? We are veterans. We are, yes, spiritual militant. Because we know spiritual warfare, and we know who the high-ups are, our principalities, powers, rulers of darkness of the world, spiritual wickedness in high places. We know we're battling principalities. The principality got permission to go into that area and allow the principality called the destroyer, A-L-L-A-H. He was the destroying Melech that was sent to destroy a city. In the book of Yasher, yes, Allah was a destroying Melech, and he never returned back to the Father when the people started worshiping the angel, and he decided to stay on earth and continue to be the destroyer. But people worshipped him, and that's where we get this particular ancient religion going back to the days of Jericho. When Israel surrounded Jericho and the walls came down, they were worshiping the crescent moon star of Allah back then. Crescent moon star goes all the way back to Babylon, the Persians, the Phoenicians, you name it. The history and all the artifacts show.
Yeah, history is very important for everyone out there who's, during this walk, you want to learn history. Your genealogy, history, all this stuff is important.
And Allah originally, until the year 800, maybe not, and they think 900, it's switched up. It used to be El Iyah, the mighty one of all mighty ones. It is not a name. And we're so fortunate to have the name of the Father. Right. And the character of his love and everything. We're going past the gates of titles. We're going past the gates of titles for a personal relationship of YaHuaH through his Ben Yahushua. And other religions can't do that because they're still stuck in their little box. And of course, the destroying messenger is a fallen Melech. Okay, so we understand that. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with the people, brother, I want them to understand that, say if you and I've experienced things already, in small burst. I had a guy pull a knife on me, and he said if I tell him that YaHuaH loves him anymore, that he was going to kill me, he was going to stab me. And I opened my button of my shirt, and I said, I bind this aggressive spirit in you in Yahushua Hashem. And if you're not going to be able to do it. And his hand with the knife got stuck, and he shook his head and ran away. And then a day later, he came back and apologized to me. He said, something grabbed my wrist, and I could not stab you. Wow. When you told me I was bound. You see, we can't play around, brother. That's right. When Muslims come in the principality of Allah into your Messianic or Hebrew fellowship or your ministry fellowship of your followers of Yah, and you're going to be shooting blanks. Failure to receive, failure to eject, failure to load. Right. When you start saying Jesus / Yeshua, Yahweh / Yahovah, those demons will slice your throat, shoot you, and kill you so quick.
That's right. That's right, because there's no power in those names. And so we want to return to the ancient paths and to call on the right name, to be able to have, to be able to pierce through the atmosphere. Because Hasatan, the enemy builds walls between you and the atmosphere that you're trying to get through when you're in prayer or when you're calling on Yah. You cannot pierce through that stronghold that the enemy has if you're calling on the name of a pagan deity.
Of another mighty one.
Of another mighty one, that's right.
Now his love and his compassion that he knows our heart, that we are moving forward.
Right.
That we're allowing him to turn the degree of our metal up every 10 degrees.
Right.
He knows who are stubborn and saying, don't touch the handle no more. I like where I'm at. I'm stuck.
Right.
Or he knows, oh, wait a minute. He wants more of me. Let me turn it up a little bit more.
Yeah, we're talking about spiritual stuff, spiritual things, spiritual warfare, and in this atmosphere, and so there's laws, and there's Yah has a Torah he's the maker of all creation, so for the sin that we do, then there's there's a law. Okay, for this reason we're separated from him. Okay, and how do we get back to where we can have authority when we pray in this world, in this atmosphere? And how do we reach Yah? Well, we have to call on his name, and there's the old order of the priesthood of the temple knew the laws of the temple and how to get
the protocol order of its right rule of how to get to the Shamayim, the high place.
Right, how to get to up. They would go up the steps, and they would sing certain psalms and certain prayers. And when they reached the top, well, then the presence of YaHuaH was there.
You cannot find Shekinah nowhere in the Brit Kadasha, except if you look at the Goddess Gloria, or you can't find it in the Tanakh or the Torah. It's the weight of his presence, not the weight of his glory. That's a goddess, the Shekinah.
Right.
That's not in the scripture. It is a masculine word of his presence. It's a cloud. It's masculine. There's groups out there that are messianic / I don't know what they are. They have this woman prophetess that goes in a bed and gives prophecies and weird stuff. And they're into the Shekinah female spirit of Yahweh. Now, let me tell you something. That is Kabbalism. I've been to Israel. I've seen Kabbalism. I've talked to Kabbalists. I'm very interviewing. They're very open. You'd be surprised. They think they're evangelizing, and you're actually interviewing them to get information to find out for you to take your notes. And they're very attracted to give people information. Some of them have demonic discernment and won't talk to you. But so it's the weight of his presence we want to enter in. Now, some people are playing around with the Shekinah Gloria, which is it's the same deity. Shekinah and Gloria is the same. It's Kabbalism. That's written in the Kabbalist book. There's nowhere in the scriptures where it's Shekinah glory. That Shekinah, like I said, is Kabbalism. It's not in the scripture. Okay, now, if they come into your congregation or into your house and they're coming in with their terrorist weapons of warfare, you have to be so exercised that without a doubt, with full-blown emunah of exercising, because we're going to learn the word hanuk, and we're going to learn the word hunukah. We're going to learn these words, all right? What they mean. That these people, that means practiced, trained, initiated. Okay?
Right.
Since Genesis 14, Bereshit, verse 14. So you have to practice, you have to train, and you're initiated in Yah's army. All right? Or a high Kohanim. You're initiated in. You're part of his. When they look down from Shamayim, they see light coming out of your house.
Right.
The messengers know, that house right there is the house of Adonai, Eliyahu, and they are marked. They're initiated.
That's right.
They speak my name, and the Father and the Son, the true name, and they know the name of the principalities that they're fighting.
Right.
That's how keen they are. So, you see, if they walk into, and I've experienced this, and I've exercised it in small forms, with men with weapons or big men that threw their fist on me, and I've been slapped on one cheek, and then I rebuked them and bound them, and their arm actually froze and could slap me twice. Okay? So you have to learn how to spur the moment. Instead of having the spirit of fear, you have the spirit of perfect love cast out fear with boldness, power, and a sound mind. Okay? So if they come into your congregation or your workplace, we have to be a light to this world and be able to say to that demon, you spirit of terror and violence, I bind you in YaHuaH Shem, and YaHuaH Shem, you leave now, and all your weapons of warfare will be jammed. I've heard of stories where they literally told this one brother, this elderly brother of YaHuaH, to kneel, and he said, I will never kneel. And he said, I only need the YaHuaH and his son Yahushua. And when they went click, click, click,
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
That's
right. It was a handgun. It wasn't an automatic, right?
Right.
And so, and then when he got up and he said, you're bound, he started to run, and then they shot and they missed him. The gun worked before and the gun worked after, but when he said, I'm never going to bow to no one, take me down, I only bow to YaHuaH, because the guy wanted him to bow. The person wanted, is a missionary, wanted him to bow. Okay, and that's to get you to bow to that spirit, that principality, before they kill you.
To put fear in you, so that you do bow.
Right. So you need to know who you worship. It's not Yahweh. I just showed you Yahweh, and I want you to not look at me like I'm showing prejudice, because we used to use those words, Jehovah and Yahweh.
We have used those words before.
Those titles, but we know now the true name.
So we humbly tell you this.
We humbly say, we walk softly on it, you know what I mean? And once we knew the true name from the paleo, and then I went to Israel and I interviewed and I talked and hung out with Levi Kohanim that believed in YaHuaH and Yahushua, based on Zechariah chapter 6.
Yes.
The high Kohanim that had the memorial crown, which you can see my video on that. And you can also, to further that, you can go on the pagan idols and plays site in the Jerusalem Museum. And I'm not going to use no more time.